Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zack, and today I am driving a 1993 Geo Storm Sport Coupe. Up front is a 1.6 liter inline 4, and down below is a 5-speed manual transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this Geo Storm for many reasons, but mainly the fact that you just don't see these cars anymore. According to the United States DMV, there are only about 400 of these left on the road. So today, we're going to be taking a look at a car that history has nearly forgotten. But if you'd like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. Let's get back to that 1.6 liter inline 4 under the hood. Well, it's good for about 95 horsepower. It's a single overhead cam engine, and this was the base engine available here in the Geo Storm. Now, this engine isn't really shared with other products. It's not like it was pulled from a Toyota, which we'll talk about in a second. It wasn't pulled from anything else. It wasn't really used in other GM vehicles. It, of course, was shared with some Isuzu products, of which these were heavily based off of. But it's a pretty standalone engine, and so it makes finding parts for them very hit or miss. Now, if you bought the GSI, which was the performance version, it got a larger 1.8 liter that would rocket you into the triple-digit horsepower. However, like I said, we just have 95 here today. Like I said, paired to it, 5-speed manual transmission, feels great, shifts great, but as I hinted at earlier, this is a Toyota transmission. So it feels wonderful, and that is all thank you to Toyota and less of Geo. Last but not least, of course, these are front-wheel drive. How does it feel to drive the Geo Storm? It's good. It definitely has that Japanese influence, mainly because it is. Even though Geo was technically an American brand, most of their stuff was just rebadged Isuzus or Suzukis, so it drives like a Japanese tuner car. I would much more equate this to feeling like a Civic Coupe more than a Cavalier at the same era. It has that sort of buzziness about it, even though this is the single cam. The shifter feels great, where American cars, we really did not understand how to make a good shift linkage in the late 80s and early 90s. So all of that together, it's a very import feeling, because it really technically is. Visibility is good, ride quality is not great, but it's a Geo Storm. It wasn't supposed to be a Bentley. And so here we go, highway on-ramp. Yeah, not quite the bullet train I was hoping for. And by hoping for, I really wasn't hoping for it. It's sporty, it's fun to row through your own gears, it looks great, but if you're expecting good lap times or 0 to 60 launches, this is certainly not the vehicle for you. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 4 gauges. Off to the left is my tachometer, in the center is a speedometer, and off to the right is fuel and coolant temperature. On the steering wheel, we do get horn buttons, and we do get an airbag, which for 93 was the first year legally required, but nothing more than that. Around the gauge cluster, we do have our headlight switches off to the left, and we have our wiper operations off to the right. To the left, we do have a climate control vent that's kind of hidden. We do have a rear defrost as well as a little cubby, our gauge dimmer switch, and moving on to the door, we have our mirror adjustments, latch to get in and out, and crank for the windows. The whole design of the door is very interesting and somewhat futuristic. Moving into the center, we get 2 more climate control vents. We do get our climate controls themselves. This does have AC, which here in SoCal is very, very nice to have, and it works well. We have our Geo Delco radio. So this is definitely GM's influence over Geo. That Delco radio, very synonymous with 90s GM products, and it still works. Very, very cool to see that. Then we do have our ashtray and the shifter. The shifter does feel very economy. This doesn't feel very premium or sporty. So it feels more like Nissan hardbody pickup truck than it does Sport Coupe, but it's here, it's manual, and I'm enjoying it. Then we do get some coin holders and the handbrake. However, we don't get any cup holders in the Geo Storm, so by default, it fails the big friggin' bottle test. The seats are comfortable. I don't mind them. They are kind of thin, more economy oriented than sport oriented for sure. But at the end of the day, again, the Geo was the most affordable way to put a smile on your face. And so you feel that here in the Storm, and you feel that here in the Storm seats. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, and I will cram myself back there for your entertainment. All right, getting in the back of the Geo Storm, and a couple of things to note. First of all, the door handles themselves, I don't know if you could see it in there. You actually pull it up. Very, very interesting. But pull this forward, bring that as forward as we can, and here we go. Oh my goodness. This is definitely not meant to have, especially big guys in the back. This is as high as I can stick my head. I am giving myself mini concussions to emphasize the fact that there's not a lot of headroom. Very cool. So if I were to move this seat back into its regular position and scoot it all the way back, there's no way I would really be able to fit. Sorry, my sunglasses fell off my head. That's how much space you get. Kids, short people, amputees, they'll fit back here okay, but Midwestern YouTubers do not fit back here. I'm also sweating up a storm, man. I don't know how SoCal does this all year round. It's hot! Anyway, let's talk about the trunk. All right, around the back of the Geo Storm, something I find very interesting because there was a lot of Japanese engineering going on. Most of GM's products throughout the 90s and into the 2000s had two separate keys, one for the doors and trunk, one for the ignition. Because this was actually kind of Japanese engineered, we get one single key to do everything. This is way more advanced than most of GM's other stuff. So once we are back here, not crazy trunk space. However, you can pull this and push this seat down and fold it flat. Something to note, however, is that the owner does have a Geo sales brochure. So I'm going to take a minute here and just flip through some of these pages. Look at that. That is so 90s. That is a 90s child through and through. I wonder what they're doing today. But just, I'll put some elevator music behind this. Okay, that's insane, but, you know, what isn't? So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that brief intermission to the video. This is also the paint samples for the exterior colors. Very, very cool to see that. And, of course, a little Geo plate. So there you go. That is not only the trunk of the Geo Storm, but a little bit of bonus Geo history brochures for you. I love my brochures, and I'm very appreciative that the owner, Jack, had a brochure for this car. Come up here. There you go. Now we gotta talk about the looks. This is finished in Mystic Magenta. It is a wonderful color. However, we also have a green Geo Storm to look at here today. I'm only reviewing this magenta one because they're both 93s. They're nearly identical vehicles, and this one has slightly lower miles, but you could get an idea of the color palette available back in 93, and you can even look at this brochure if you want to know all of the colors that the Geo Storm was originally available in. This really reinforces that fun feeling that the Geo Storm was giving their owners. Again, for an affordable price, they were fun. and that's exactly what this paint color delivers. The overall design of the Geo Storm, I could take or leave. It does look kind of futuristic, especially coming off the very blocky era of the 1980s. This was certainly something different, so that is fun to see. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving a Geo Storm? Well, this has been an absolute pleasure. Am I going anywhere fast? No. Am I contemplating bringing one of these to my next track event? Also, in the same way, no. But you have to realize two things. First of all, these were affordable fun. It didn't cost an arm and a leg. A lot of people had these in college. Actually, funny enough, we were getting ready to film some stuff today, and a girl walked by and she goes, "Oh my gosh, a Geo Storm. I haven't seen one since college. A blast from the past." And I assume she went to college in the mid to late 90s, if not early 2000s. So these were affordable. You know, your parents could buy you one for 10, 15 grand and take it to school and be on your way. So it brought interesting and fun vehicles to the base level. Yes, we still have economy cars, but we don't have economy cars that are nearly as fun or interesting as these were and are. But the second thing is just Geo in general. GM was desperately trying to beat the imports, and they did it with two brands. Saturn was meant to be their homegrown brand. They built their plant in Tennessee specifically to fight the imports, to offer an affordable vehicle. But they also tried to fight the imports with Geo, and their strategy was different. Where Saturn was a ground-up, fresh vehicle, these were rebadged and collaborated with the Japanese brands of Isuzu and Suzuki. And I guess you really could argue that GM tried a third way with Daewoo, which was a Korean brand. But that's for another video when I finally find a Daewoo to film. And so GM wanted to fight the imports really, really bad. And this is how they tried to do it. And honestly, this is pretty on par in terms of driving experience, fun, and just overall tone of the vehicle compared to the imports, because it is one. Would I rather drive this or a Civic? Probably this. Yeah, it's going to be harder to find parts for. It's going to be a lot harder. This is more unique. This is more interesting than the Civics of the era. And they were just more special. This felt more interesting. A Honda Civic. What the heck is a Civic? All I know is civic duties to the city. Well, that sucks. But a Geo Storm, a worldly storm. You just imagine dark clouds rolling over the horizon. You imagine lightning, rain, hail, snow. You imagine all these visceral feelings. That's what you get with the Storm. And that was special. This car is special. These cars are special. It's a very slim era from GM. And now, the owner Jack has been tasked with not only having a fun hobby car, but preserving it, because these will and have already started to get lost to history. Not many people remember the Geo Storms. And when was the last time that you saw one? So here today, I get the ultimate privilege of showing you a working, running, driving, well-kept example of a Geo Storm. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Jack for not only letting me borrow his Geo Storm, but he drove it down from Huntington Beach, California to San Diego so I could fit it into my San Diego run here in California. He's been absolutely wonderful to work with, and I am so incredibly thankful for him taking the trip. Also, thank you to Dylan. He brought his green Geo for us to film some stuff with as well. So huge thank you to the both of them. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.